Okay, so today we are talking about sleep on this lunchtime live. This is another really hot topic that keeps coming up for us, keeps coming up with people that are interacting with us on our social media, and indeed, again, a really popular topic that used to come up when Nicky and I were both practicing privately. So I'm going to share my screen with you, and then we'll get cracking with the session. Okay, there we go. So the first thing that I want to acknowledge is that sleep, as with any condition, human condition, is not just to do with one thing. It's not just to do with your diet, or it's not just to do with the fact that maybe you're feeling stressed, or it's not just to do with the fact that maybe hormones are playing a part in it. It's about the whole lifestyle that you are living. And one of the acronyms that I learned quite early on in terms of kind of the sleep element is it's about an acronym called HEAL. And that means that sleep is to do with our health and our well-being. So it's to do with the foods that we eat, the exercise that we take, and our whole lifestyle. You see there on the L, lifestyle comes into that as well. The environment that we create for ourselves, both in the lead up to sleep, but also in the place where we sleep. So our bedroom is a really important environment to set up properly, and we cover all of these in the health course that we do, the short health course on sleep. Attitude is another really big element of this, and I'm going to explain that in a little bit more detail in a moment. So like I said, think about the HEAL, think about the 360, and that's what Nicky and I are all about. Consider everything in terms of mind, body, nutrition, and the way that you live your life. So that's the first kind of tip and the first thing to acknowledge. So just coming on to, I guess, the attitudes part in HEAL. Having the right mindset is super important to sleep, and that might sound a little bit crazy, but what we tell ourselves on a regular basis becomes our reality. We create those neural patterns in our brain, and they become part of our belief system. So if you constantly tell yourself, I can't sleep, I can never get off to sleep, I always wake up in the middle of the night, then that becomes your reality.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I guess we've all done it to a certain degree. You go to bed, you know you've got to be up early in the morning, for whether it's for work or for your children, and you start to panic that you're not going to get to sleep. So then you're creating stress, and you're releasing cortisol, which is a stress hormone, and then that's going to keep you awake as well. So actually, just shift that round. So if you can start to hear yourself saying, oh, I'm not going to get to sleep tonight, or I'm going to have a restless night, switch that round. It doesn't matter whether you fully believe it at that point in time, but really engage with it and say, do you know what, I'm going to have a good night's sleep tonight, or I'm going to have the best night's sleep that I can have.
Absolutely. And then tomorrow's another day, isn't it? You know, there's always going to be, you know, an opportunity to catch up.
Yeah, absolutely.
Takes the stress off.
And that comes down to the second point I wanted to make about acceptance. When we get really worked up about the fact that sleep is becoming an issue for us, we are acting in conflict with ourselves. So there's a bit about just accepting. Short-term sleep deprivation does cause issues. You know, we know that it causes issues of anxiety, it causes issues of irritability, and it's one of those things that if we're not sleeping well, if we're not rested, then we're probably less likely to focus well on what we're doing that day. But they're short-term things, and they are things that can be fixed. It's when it comes on to long-term sleep deprivation that it's really an issue, and it really can start to cause chronic issues in health and well-being. And it can bring onset things like obesity, chronic fatigue. So we want to be avoiding that. But let's put this into perspective. That's a long way down the line. That's serious sleep deprivation. So if we do some of this stuff up front, then you're not going to get to that point in normal, healthy human being. And as Nicky said, you'll always have tomorrow night. So there's a bit about
catching up. It's just one of those quick things that you can tell yourself, and it just takes the pressure off that particular night, I think.
And that's the thing, we want to be calming our minds down. And there's a whole host of things that you can do in that lead up to sleep that we go through on the course, just to calm the mind, calm the body, and create that perfect environment. The other thing is to be kind to yourself. It may sound a little bit crazy when we're talking about sleep, but it's that thing about when we punish ourselves, you know, I'm no good at sleeping, I'll never get to sleep, and getting frustrated. Just be kind and gentle with yourself, and you'll be amazed at how much that actually calms down the mind and the physiology of the body. The other thing is, and we mentioned this with environment, and I've put don't take sleep for granted. So at the end of the day, sleep is not guaranteed. If you haven't done the other things that your body needs in terms of nutrition, exercise, creating the right environment, stress plays a massive factor in whether you're going to be able to sleep at the end of the day. So again, kind of thinking about what can I do to relieve some of that stress. And remember that 360. So again, even stress and anxiety is all about what are you eating, how are you exercising, how are you living your life. And then it's to be aware, and I really again want to acknowledge that being awake within a period of sleep, from going to bed to getting up from bed, periods of awake is normal. So I just want to go through this graphic ever so briefly. I'm not going to bore you, I promise, but this is a sleep pattern. This is my sleep pattern from May, and I just want to show you what that looks like. So what we would normally do is, so we start awake when we go to bed, and you can see that in the red area here, the colour codes are up there in terms of sleep stages. So we start off awake, and it usually takes somewhere between 15 and 30 minutes to fall asleep. And it really doesn't matter if it takes you a little bit longer, but that's roughly what it takes on average for people to fall asleep. If you're falling asleep much quicker, you're probably overtired and you want to think about some of those other things that we mentioned in the heal. And then what you would tend to do is you would go into light sleep. Now you can see on my chart that I've had just under 5 hours light sleep. Light sleep is super important for our bodies to restore themselves. Now sleep plays an important role in our physical and our mental restoration. So light sleep is super important, and you'll see that that's the main chunk of sleep. From light sleep, then you would generally go into deep sleep. So deep sleep is when you are most likely to not be able to be woken up. So if you've ever tried to wake somebody up when they've just gone to sleep, what they've probably done is gone from awake, light, and then into deep sleep. And deep sleep tends to happen at the front end of your sleep pattern predominantly. That's where you tend to get the biggest area of your deep sleep. Really, again, super restorative and really important. But if you'll see, that's just about an hour, just under an hour and a half on there for me for deep sleep. And then REM, so that's where we dream. REM is where we dream. And we probably spend between 1 and 2 hours of our overall sleep cycle in REM. And all of these, from awake, light, deep REM, goes through that sleep cycle each night. So you'll see here, there are several points at which I'm awake. So those red bits, several points at which I'm awake. Now, I want to mention that because if you're waking up and getting frustrated that you're waking up and feeling that, you're not sleeping properly because you're waking up. That's not true. The truth is you are sleeping perfectly because your body goes through those cycles, and periods of awake are okay. If you're sat there thinking, I never wake up during my sleep, actually that's not the reality, but the moments are probably so brief that your mind consciously doesn't acknowledge them, and then you go back to sleep. So it'll still be happening, but it'll be brief. So you can see, for me, I've been awake there for about an hour. And again, if you just look down at the left-hand corner, you'll see that there's a benchmark there for women of my age. of a certain age, 21. And you'll see there that on average, the benchmark is between 10 and 20% of your evening sleep would be awake. And I'm there at about 12%. So even that 1 hour broken up over the course of the night might feel like a really long time to be awake, but it's not. You can see I'm down at 12%. That's at the lower end of the benchmark range for me. So I don't want to get too scientific about it, but I really wanted to make the point that if you wake up in the middle of the night, it's not the end of the world, because it's part of your sleep pattern. The important thing is not to stress about it. Maybe focus on your breath. Maybe think about something relaxing and just ease back into sleep. And I will guarantee you this: when you start accepting and when you start believing that you will go back to sleep, you'll get a better night's sleep. But I'm going to hand you over to Nicky, because Nicky's going to give you some information on how you, in terms of nutrition, of how you can help that sleep on an evening. There we go.
Hi everyone. I've cooked a super sleep recipe, which I love to call turmeric turkey comforter. So I can't say that without putting my teeth in properly. Oh my God.
We should have thought about that.
I was thinking about that. I thought that sounds really catchy when I wrote it. I didn't actually try saying it until now. So there we go. I just managed to get it out. So really, the basis of this and the full emphasis really here is around the turkey. And I chose the turkey because obviously it's a wonderful low saturated fat, high protein meat. But the key thing about turkey is one of the amino acids, which is part of the protein inside it, it's really high in an amino acid called tryptophan. And tryptophan is what's needed to actually create the serotonin in our brain, which is one of our feel-good chemicals. And then from serotonin, melatonin, our sleep chemical, is made. So it's natural that if we've got a good intake of tryptophan, that obviously we're able to actually make that serotonin and feel good and feel relaxed anyway. And then from that, we've got an abundance to be able to make the melatonin, which obviously helps us calm and relax and get off to sleep at night. So that was the basis around obviously the full curry. And I just wanted to make another point on that, that's you know, when we're talking about the sleep chemical melatonin, is that when we're actually on our phones or we've got blue light, that actually can switch or certainly dramatically turn down that melatonin production. So it's just something to be aware of, because it's like Alison said, it's the full 360 approach. Is obviously we can do so much during the daytime to get ourselves in a calm state. We can eat the right foods, but then if we're tapped into social media late on a night, actually we're just reversing all the good work that we've done, ready to bed down. So just bear that in mind there.
And we do talk about some of those stimulants and what to avoid, obviously. When
absolutely, in our sleep program, we do go into that and how things do interact with your body and what helps you get into that sleep cycle, but what also can be really an antagonist to sleep as well. Not only in getting to sleep, but actually waking you up and keeping you up. And there's some surprising things in there too. Okay, so obviously turkey is the kind of the star of this, and the other amino acid it's high in is glycine, and glycine also helps support the sleep cycle in a different way to tryptophan. And this actually just helps to, well, one of its ways it helps is to actually lower our core body temperature. And we all know that actually you are better placed to be able to fall to sleep if your body's slightly cooler as opposed to hot. So this turkey is a really, really good choice to actually have sort of like as your evening dinner. There's one contraindication with the curry, and this is just a note. Obviously the full recipe is actually in the programme, but this is just a side note that if obviously you do suffer with acid, or obviously perhaps you're menopausal or you suffer from hot flushes, then you keep your curry very, very mild and you don't go to a high heat, and then obviously you're not going to kind of, you know, adverse effects from that. Okay, so that's a turkey. And then on this plate here, we've got something called GABA rice. And GABA is another amino acid that's supportive of the nervous system, and obviously to help calm things down. And this supports the neurotransmitters, and it's gamma aminobutyric acid is its long term, but everybody calls it GABA. And this is really, it's a sprouted rice, so it's a fibrous rice as well, and it's not going to flood your blood with sugars, so it's a nice steady fibrous rice, but because it's high in GABA, this amino acid, this really does help to calm the nervous system down. So when you've got this GABA amino acid in hand with the turkey, with the tryptophan and the glycine, that is such a powerful combination, because you've got 3 key amino acids there that are going to support the sleep cycle and your neurotransmitters in fully calming and helping that that mind quiet and ready to go to sleep.
And can I just, in terms of the GABA rice,
yes,
how would we typically see that on our supermarket shelves?
Yeah, it's termed, you will normally find it with your normal rice, and it's actually in a packet, and on the front it will say GABA, and it's actually a sprouted jasmine rice, and that's what it is. So it's a sprouted jasmine rice, so it retains all its nutrients, it retains its fibre, and obviously it takes, I think it's a longer cook, probably about 40 minutes, which you need to allow, and it does tend to be a bit more pricey because it's been specifically sprouted to be high in this amino acid called GABA. So that is one to definitely look out for, and obviously if you can grab it on offer, even better, and then obviously just have a few, stock up on it, and if you're not a curry fan, then you could be having turkey on a sweet potato, you could have a turkey steak with some GABA rice in your greens, so you can obviously vary this up. It's just trying to get those combination of nutrients that are obviously going to support that sleep cycle, which is really the main thing. Okay, so I just wanted to just briefly talk to you about a couple of supplements that will also help. As I always say, and this is fundamentally, your diet has got to be completely, right to get the most out of any supplement program you do. The full program is in our little mini sleep plan, which is available to you, and we've give you a discount code, which we'll obviously release at the end of this short video, so you can get £5 off. But a couple of the things I'll just pull out here is magnesium is a very calming mineral, helps to calm the mind, the nervous system, and the muscles as well. So if you're an exerciser and you maybe suffer from twitchy legs or the leg cramps as well, this can be a fantastic one to get in there. The high B6 complex is a wonderful complex to put in because it's high in B6 and it's also high in B12. Those work synergistically together to support the nervous system again in calming down. Now, there is one product called Cherry Night, which I just wanted to just briefly, it's lovely actually, and sometimes I use it myself. It's very nice. And this is a product that's very high in some synergistic compounds. I just talked about glycine that we talked about in the turkey. Now, this has got a very high content of glycine in it and readily available because it's a powder. So when you actually mix this in, it's mixed with, it's got morello cherry juice, which morello cherry is renowned for a high melatonin content. So you've got that along with the glycine, with red date extract, and red date's been used for hundreds of years in ancient medicine as a sleep remedy, and then you've got magnesium with it. So this Cherry Night, I love it, and it's by a company that I use myself, I trust, and I've used for my private clients as well. And so that is a really powerful combination, and it's a nice nighttime little drink, and it's almost a comfort to take as a little nighttime drink about an hour before bed.
Can you have it warm as well, or does that destroy the compound?
If you wanted it warm, that would be fine, as long as it wasn't boiling. I would just do it warm, bit of cold water in first, then top it up with your boiling, and then to make it warm, which would be quite nice if you found that more comforting. I just take it with water and just not much, and then I think it gets in a bit quicker as well into your system. And that's a lovely product to take, a nice one to take. And then valerian root, most of you will know this has been used for years for a remedy for insomnia. So I've just put together, as I say, some really nice supplement program, synergistic, that would work with, obviously, on top of a good diet. You would still get some effect from this even if you wasn't eating a good diet, but the effect will not be as great as if you was eating well as well, because it's fundamental to your full body health. It's your top up, isn't it? Absolutely.
I want to say as well about the valerian root that if a stressful day is part of the reason that your sleep is interrupted, valerian again is another lovely organic flower. Well, I mean, obviously valerian is a flower, isn't it? But in terms of the root that you'd use, that actually helps to calm the nervous system down as well. So again, a fantastic one to use if if you're feeling particularly stressed.
Is it an uptight?
Or
Yeah,
uptight,
it's a really good one to use. Yeah, absolutely. So we've put together this program for you, like we do. It's very, very similar to our, in terms of its format, where we address the full 360, as Alison touched on earlier on. So we're looking at the nutrition, the mind and the body. And then I've done an interactive video for you there, but not just talking about foods and which help. I've actually talked about why and how they interact with your body to really help you understand, oh my God, that's why I feel like X when I have that too. That's why I tend to wake up when I have this. So I've put together some really synergistic foods, but also some really foods that you might be surprised at, and drinks and false ingredients as well that could really be disrupting your sleep cycle you might not even be aware of. And then I've put a full supplement program in there, and I've negotiated as well a 15% off discount with the natural dispensary. The code's also in there for you with the supplement company that I recommend. The guys I work with, they have no excipients, no fillers. You get pure product. It's well responsibly sourced. It's vegan, and obviously the full thing is there. And I do a full program about contraindications and how to take supplements safely as well. So that's wrapped up in there for you. And Alison, what I did find fun when we was putting the program together is Alison has done a Mogo chai routine, which is a kind of a mishmash of loads of ancient techniques, ancient movement techniques. And Alison said, oh, you know, look at this video for us, Nick, see what you think. And I ended up looking at it, and I thought, oh, I can't not look at it, and I can't not do it. I need to do it. So I was actually doing it while I was watching it. And do you know what? I loved it. I honestly got to say, I mean, I'm not generally a relaxed person. I like really high intensity HIIT type stuff, but I thoroughly enjoyed that routine.
Yeah. It's really good for just calming yourself down. Like Nick said, if a lot of people actually burn off their stress through high intensity. And that's fine. You want to be doing that in the morning. You do not want to be doing that late at night. I mean, if after work is your routine and that's the only time you can get in your exercise, fine. But please don't be doing it really, really late at night, because you're just getting all of your physiology and your mind going again. Yeah. So what the Moga Chi does, as Nick says, is it combines, and it's not complicated to do. It's an easy routine for anybody to do.
At any fitness level, any level. Age as well is good. Even children could do this, can't they?
But yes. So it's a combination of Tai Chi, yoga, Qigong, and it activates acupressure points, certain acupressure points across the body, in the wrists, around the neck, and the ear area and the temples. And these are points, as Nick said, that have been used by our ancestors for hundreds and hundreds of years as part of a sleep routine. So they are combined in the Moga Chi routine. So I know that you will love that. And we also talk, as we said, about how to create the perfect environment and the perfect mindset so that you can really relax and really ease yourself into a lovely night's sleep.
Yep, so I hope you've really enjoyed this session with us. Any questions or comments, please pop it in. We're going to put the video on afterwards so you can watch it at your own leisure. We're also going to pop a discount code in there for you along with our 360 program, which the code is going to be Sleep Easy, all in capital letters. So we'll pop that in for you with a link, and that offer will only be on for a couple of weeks. So if you want to grab that, then please do. And I think you will find it very, very useful, and you can use these techniques at any time.
Yeah, so I hope you enjoyed that, and guys, whatever you're having for lunch, enjoy
it.
And we'll see you again soon. See you later.
Bye-bye.
Bye.